When I was 17, and before I was married to my first husband, I found out that I was pregnant. At that time I was carrying twins. A few weeks later I began having complications, and one of my twin babies had died. At the time I was living with my parents. My best friend and I shared a room which had been added onto the house years before. One morning I had woke up very early, and had felt a strange presence staring at me. In the corner of my bedroom by the door, I saw a small child. It was a little girl about 3 or 4 years old. She has long golden brown curls and she was dressed in a frilly blue dress. She looked very upset, and very afraid. I attempted to talk to her, but she disappeared. At the time I didn't mention this to anyone in the house, but I continued to see her quite often. Each time that I saw her, I would try to speak with her, and she would disappear. Then one night my mom and my best friend and I were in my room laying in my bed just talking about stuff. My mom turned her head toward the corner of the room, and I noticed that she turned a bit pale, then she shook her head. When we asked her what was wrong she stated that she must be too tired because she was starting to see things. And at that time, I knew that it wasn't just me anymore, and I asked my mother what she had seen. She stated that she saw a beautiful little girl standing in the corner. I asked her to describe the little girl, and my mother described everything, exactly the same way that I had seen her. I then explained that I had been seeing this child frequently, and how I tried to communicate with her. My mother suggested that I keep trying to do so. So for the next few months, I would talk to this little spirit, and before long she stopped disappearing. But she still made no effort to respond. Then in late November of 1995, I gave birth to my other existing twin baby Kathleen. The little spirit was now becoming a more frequent visitor. She would push my new baby daughter in her wind-up baby swing, play with her in her walker, and watch over her while she slept. But the whole time the little girl seemed sad. Then one night, she came to me in a dream, and asked me what I would have named her had she been born too. That is when I realized that this little girl was the child that I had lost during my pregnancy. I told her that I would have named her Courtney. And in my dream I held her in my arms. Since that night, she has appeared less frequently, and when she does, she is smiling. I thought that she was wanting me to focus more on my other children. My daughter is now 3, the same age as my little spirit child, and looks identical to the little spirit who once stood in my room every night not too long ago. I know that she still visits her twin sister every now and then. Kathleen has told me about how Courtney comes to play with her and her new baby brother. And I feel secure that there is a precious little angel looking out for them. My family traveled to the south of France to stay in a cottage owned by someone my dad worked with. The owners visited occasionally, but that summer it was free and we had 10 days booked in there. After the long 2 days on the road we drove down a steep driveway towards the secluded mill cottage, with the water wheel sat static alongside the stone house. There was a deep cellar with stone stairs down under the wheel next to the house, and a small river circled the place. We went into the house and chose rooms, but being set down in a small copse, the house was drafty and cold from lack of use. We settled in and turned all of the heating on, yet the house remained cold and felt damp. The first night we had set a fire in the living room and listened to a couple of audiobooks before my sister and I went to sleep. My parents stayed up a little longer then went to bed. Around midnight they both woke up at exactly the same time, and the door to their bedroom was opening slowly. At first they thought it was my sister until they saw a large dark silhouette of a man framed in the doorway, standing stock still, just looking in their direction as if appraising them. After a short period, the shape turned and started to move, as if satisfied, and disappeared. They looked at each other, but didn't speak, and both went back to sleep. The next morning the house felt warm and dry, and sunlight was back through the windows, as if something had lifted, and accepted them. They spoke the next day and both agreed that although they were skeptics, it could not have been anything other than something supernatural in that doorway, deciding their worth. What a beautiful morning it was! The rays of the sun were finding their way to go through my window, to gently touch my face and wake me up. I opened my eyes and figured that it was too early to get up. I was on a vacation after all. Every summer me and my family are coming to this wonderful village where I spend most of the time outside with friends doing crazy stuff and having fun. That night me and my friends made a plan on inviting spirits just for fun. Of course none of that childish rituals worked. Nothing specific happened and no ghosts showed up. I got really bored, so I decided to go home. Heading my way to my house I felt chills on my back. I am not very sure why. I felt sadness and fear, but at the same time I felt protected, like some imaginary friend was beside me and protecting me from everything evil. As soon as I got home I decided to go to my favorite room in the house. I call it the green room. Everything inside was green: the chairs, the sofa, walls were green with flower prints, and it was so relaxing that I enjoyed every moment spent inside. I took off my sneakers and I walked towards the green room, but instead of feeling relaxed I felt intense. I opened the door and I saw this old man sitting on my chair. I thought that I was hallucinating, so I blinked a few times and he was gone. But was I really hallucinating? The next day I wasn't feeling very well. All I could think about was, did I really see what I saw that night? Was I losing my mind? Or it's just that I was scared from the jokes we made during inviting those spirits. I decided not to think about it too much and just brush it off. Later that day, while me and my two best friends were sitting at the hill, I felt this uncomfortable nausea, headache, and I just fell. I was having the weirdest dream ever, or whatever it was. I saw this tall convenient guy in front of me. He was wearing white clothes. You can tell that he was an angel, and he said, "You need to wake up because your best friend is in danger. She needs your help. Your time for here did not yet come." Then I just woke up and started screaming for my best friend. Fortunately she was there. There was nothing wrong with her. At that moment her phone rang. It was her psycho ex-boyfriend, who everyone thought that he killed himself because he was wanted. He blackmailed her that he will kill her if she doesn't go with him. I took her by the hand and asked her to sleep over my house. She agreed. That night we talked too much and got very tired. We both fell asleep really fast. At 3 AM sharp I woke up of this another weird dream. I dreamed this boy inviting me to the bathroom. I went there, but again there was nobody at the bathroom. When I turned to close the door I saw my best friend's ex-boyfriend. I just screamed and closed the door. She heard me and ran down the stairs asking me what happened. When I told her, she decided to call his family and ask them about him. Thank God they answered our call, but the thing we heard was not even a little content. He shot himself a few months ago in the apartment that he was renting when he ran away from home. He shot himself with a gun in one green room. When I heard that I got chills on my back. The ghost was attached to the color and similarity of the room, also to my best friend. But how did he call her that day? Will he ever go away?